So today on Hunt Found, we have Daniel Schreiber, founder of Dolok. Welcome to the
Yeah,
podcast. I'm super stoked to learn more about you and why you're seeking a co-founder. So can you introduce yourself?
yeah. Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to have this opportunity to share the story. So I'm Daniel. I Dolog as a side business right now. Of course, the idea is that it grows and eventually could become a main job. But right now, I have a regular software engineering job, and this is already like the second side hustle I started. I have one which is already good, but there's no growth potential. Anyways, so I created Duolog 2 years ago. I started out with my brother together, so I was more for product and technical, and he wanted to do marketing distribution. Um, yeah, I think the product is good and already there, but the growth and distribution part is still missing, and that's where I would look for a co-founder to help at that aspect.
Right. Well, that sounds like a super common founder problem is distribution. I feel like that is the number one cause for any new startup, new founder, whatever it might be, even experienced founders are like, now how do I distribute this and how do I distribute it consistently so that it meets my audience? And a lot of times you're still trying to figure out who your ICP is and how to target them overall and what they like, what they don't like, what they need, and what they don't need. So, very cool. Well, thanks so much for joining. So, let's talk about that a little bit about you looking for a co founder. How long have you been looking for one?
Yeah, actually, when I started this, I knew that this was a central issue, the growth and distribution thing, and that's why I brought in my brother for exactly this, because I'm not too good at this and not too motivated as well for that part. And we thought that he could cover this, but after some time, it became clear that he also had not too much experience there, and so this. Didn't end badly, but it didn't work out. So he dropped off there, and now I'm on my own. And um, yeah, I try to do some stuff for marketing and so on, but yeah, I have always a feeling that it's like there are so many possibilities, and I don't know where to start or where the most effective levels are. So yeah, so it's been like, say, I started this 2 years ago, and after 1 year, my brother dropped off, and since then, I'm not over actively looking for a co-founder because I mean, I have little spare time. I have 3 kids, so I have
Right.
to carefully invest my 3 minutes every day. Yeah.
Yeah, the balance of home life and founder life are rather difficult. I am experiencing that same pain point right now.
Yeah.
You may not know, but it is 5 a.m. my time. So I try to fit in as many items as I can within the day. I also work full time. So I go to work at 7 and do my whole work day. And then I come home and do my startup and try to figure out in a few hours for the remaining of the day how
Yeah.
to launch the product, how to get it to people. So I definitely understand that feeling. It's trials and tribulations for sure.
Yeah. And that's also one thing I would be very strict about for a co-founder, that this mode of work should match. I
Yeah,
mean, the co-founder doesn't need to work in the same mode, but of course, you need to be autonomous. And if the other one is not reachable like every hour or something like that,
right.
so it's probably not too easy to match there. But uh, I hope it's possible. Huh?
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure there are over a billion people in the world. There's got to be someone that can help you out, right? You would
Yeah.
think, ideally. Well, cool. Let's talk about that a little bit more. Of like, what are some of the attributes you're looking for in a co-founder? I know you briefly mentioned a few, but is there someone specific or the type of skill sets that you're kind of looking for?
Yeah, so I have several points, I think. I mean, I didn't do that before, so it might not be overly structured. So I think the first point would be a shared product vision. So I have a product vision, and of course, this should be a partnership. So we can iterate on this, but probably not too much. So if someone comes in and says, hey, we need to turn everything around, or we need to change everything, I think that's unrealistic from my viewpoint. So the shared vision and the shared understanding of the product and what it can be and what it cannot be would be essential. And that would be number one. Number two would be that we understand each other. We have a good way of communicating to understand, so we don't need to over communicate everything. And as I said, can be a little bit autonomous as much as possible. So for this, I think communication is key. And the third thing, which I think is also essential, is that he or she should have some experience in distribution, marketing, growth strategies, because that's what I learned from the story with my brother. That's not so easy to just do it, which I
Yeah.
also like as an approach. But I think it would be very valuable if someone did something like this before already.
Right. Yeah, no, it's when I found my co-founder actually found me directly. I was not seeking a co-founder at the time. I was just I actually had just gotten laid off from my job, and I had a cold DM on LinkedIn that said, "Hey, I see you have a ton of experience in this area." And I was like, "Okay, cool, let's talk about it." And he wasn't even initially, his intention wasn't to ask me to be a co-founder, more so to be like a founding member. So like a director level. And I was like, no, no, I'm not here to be a director for your company. And he was like, actually, I spoke to my co-founder. I'm interested in you also being a third co-founder. So one of them had dropped off at that point, but yeah, it's interesting how sometimes you may be looking for one and you find the perfect one, and or you may not, by you just happen to have similarities or things that cross over. They're like, okay, cool. I feel like we could blend really well. And me and my co-founder have been working on ours for a little over a year, and there's trials and tribulations. There's things that work really well, and there are things that we're like, wow, we are misaligned, right? Let's try to figure out how we can realign, so that we can continue pushing the product. And we're at kind of a precipice at our point, right? Where we're like, do we keep going? Do we not keep going? We have a big customer, it's doing really well, but now we need to find more customers. And that's the hard
Yeah,
part. It feels so good when you get that one, and the one that's consistently paying you and consistently
yeah,
going. But then when it comes time to find a second one, it starts to test you. It's like, okay, what do we
yeah,
do? How do we do it? Why are we doing it? Is it purpose driven? Is it not? So you're asking all these questions individually and together. So it's good that you are understanding one of the key components is communication for you, because most relationships that I've found from family, even family, friendships, work, to seeking a co-founder, it's communication, like, is the only way that that relationship will continue to build. So it's good to hear that that's like your main piece that you're kind of focused on. Obviously, there's the skill set that you're looking for from like a go to market,
yeah.
distribution, all of that, but it is a key component to like drive most of the success that you're looking to do. So speaking of co-founders, have you had any of those conversations already, or anyone that's
Um,
starting to stand out to you?
I had actually one who reached out to me, and I think content-wise he had good ideas, but then actually we spoke, and I don't know if it was the language barrier or if it was a language barrier plus some technical issues,
Yeah,
and this was where I needed to stop that immediately, because if I'm not sure I can talk to that person and have to guess what he means. So this was certainly driving the communication point up the list.
here it goes.
Yeah. And then there's several reach outs, but I think they were more from people trying to place their platform for distribution. And I think I don't need a platform or something. Maybe I need that as well, but I need as
Right,
primarily a person who understands what tools to use and how to use them.
right.
So there were not too many people I talked to before.
Right. Okay. Yeah. No. That's good because, like, I feel like you do have to kind of weed out what works for you and what doesn't. And at least you have started some of those conversations to have like indicators. Okay, I don't really like this aspect, or this doesn't work for me, or I need something else. Because I feel like you start to narrow it down. It kind of sucks that you spent time, right? Like it always feels that way initially. You're like, "Ugh,"
Yeah,
deflated. Um, but once you get past that and you find the second person, you're like, okay, I feel prepared coming to this because I'm like, I already know some of the things I'm not looking for, and I'll be able to tell pretty quickly if this isn't a person that's going to align with my goals and my aspirations for the product. So I'm glad that you've gone through that a little bit, but I'm also I know what that feels like, so I'm sorry that you
no, it's
felt
not a
that
bad
pain.
thing. I didn't lose too
Yeah,
much time, so
good.
that's fine. And I think yeah,
Yeah.
it's a long game, and I'll see what catches up.
Right. Cool. Okay. So let's talk about what you're offering to potential co founders right now. Like examples, if there's talks around equity, salary later, obviously you're an early startup. So there's still lots of things to define. And I always am interested in understanding how do you get someone excited, right? And like what keeps them around. And a lot of times it's these conversations because they want to feel that it's worth their time and effort.
Of course.
So share that. What are you kind of looking at this time?
So I'm not totally fixed on it, so that's always up for discussion. But
Yeah.
I think the growth and distribution is equally important as the product and development itself. So I would aim for some 50% equity I could share, or maybe 49. So I think at least for the beginning, I would still stay a little bit in control. But this doesn't have to stay that all the time. So essentially, this would be in revenue share model. I mean, there can be different technicalities,
Sure.
but I think that's the main idea that we both can profit from this when there are profits, but if there are none, we
Yeah.
have to share the responsibilities. So.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, exactly. And this wasn't one of my questions that was on the list that I shared with you, but for example, right now, are you doing everything like bootstrapping everything, or do you think you're going to seek like seed round funding or anything like that in the future if you guys find, your ICP and you start to see consistency around that?
So I right now this is all bootstrapped, and also we have first customers and little revenue. So it's a handful of customers. So I think the product market fit is already there, but
Yeah.
of course I'm open for discussions. And I personally think that the bootstrap model should and could continue, and we could scale this and immediately have with bigger revenue enough for sharing that between us because we don't have such a big cost basis right now.
Right.
So I would be contra investments because then you run after that and you're not independent anymore. And as I said, I do this part time right now. So unless it's scaling very well,
Yeah.
I would like not to have too much pressure here.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
of course, it's always in development, but yeah.
Right. Yeah, and because of the part-time component, do you feel like you spend most of your weekends on like trying just to like push this, or is there like a time of the week that is like, okay, I know this is where I'm going to be able to do the most delivery because it works within my schedule?
So for me, it's not the weekends. The weekends are more family focused.
Okay.
So it's
Yeah.
rather at the evenings I cut out one or another hour where I do something. So I always try to pick small tasks every day or every other day.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, of course, it's always somehow on my mind. So I think about next steps and so on. But yeah, it's not like I have big chunks of continuous time. So
Right.
it's rather small bits here and there.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know who does. If they do, I think they could share some of that time with us. That would be
Yeah,
ideal.
that would be
Um,
great.
yeah, it would. And no, power to you. I personally do not have children, but I definitely have a full-time job and do all the other things. I have this and then my startup. So power to you because I can't imagine having a partner, having children, and having a full-time job and this. So I just always like to highlight that's a lot. And that's the to all the people that spend that time trying to figure out something that they want to do because they love doing it or they know it's going to pay the bills, whatever the reason may be. Yeah, big kudos to you because I'm sure that is difficult behind a video with a random person you just met to speak to on a podcast. But yeah, no, like seriously, very cool to like so far learn a little bit about what you're doing and the amount of time that it takes to create a startup. I don't think a lot of people realize how much time because you see it, especially on X right now. Everyone's like, I can build a startup in 30 days, or like, I made 100,000
Yeah.
overnight, like those types of things. And I'm like, no.
Yeah, there are probably examples of this, but I think that's not the regular case, huh?
You're right.
So,
No. Yeah. Yep. Very well, very cool. So talk about what stage your product is right now or company. I know you briefly mentioned it a little bit, but just so that maybe someone who sees this video that is like, oh, actually I could help Daniel. It's always helpful for that individual to kind of get an idea or a gist of
yeah.
where you're at this stage.
Yeah, maybe I lose two sentences about the product itself. So this is
Go for it.
a translation localization tooling, which is um, more developer focused. So it's basically an API where you could translate your text for your app or whatever you're developing if you're doing this multilingual. And of course, there are already many platforms out there handling the same problem domain, like Weblate and Localize, and just to name two. But I have a certain standpoint that this is a special niche where we don't have a full platform, but we have a very lean workflow, which is faster and easier and simpler to understand and maintain for a certain setup where you have a small team, want to move fast and don't have explicit translator roles and don't need review stages and stuff like this, but you just want to have your text translated. So this is a special niche I found in that market, I think. And this is where the product is. And I think the product, as I said, I have several paying customers and many registered users. So right now, like revenue-wise, we are like 100 euros or something monthly recurring revenue. So it's little, but I think it's a little proof that it's working
Yeah.
for some people. What else did I wanted to say? Yeah, so that's where it is right now. It's growing very slowly, but maybe I could extend on this. Slow is for me okay. I don't need a success in the next 2 months. As I said, I'm rather liking the bootstrapped approach where you don't have to run for success, but you can grow steadily and with quality as well, I might say.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, so yeah,
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, I guess we should have said more about your product at the very beginning. So maybe I'll take that
maybe.
snippet and add it to the front.
Yeah.
But no, that's really great. And thanks for giving us a breakdown on that because I was trying to absorb and understand too, because I don't come from like a back end tech side like that, right? I come from like an operations standpoint. So I'm always intrigued by learning about what makes something work really well because it isn't a skill that I don't necessarily have today. I try to look up YouTube videos to understand the jargon and understand how it's applicable to me because it likely is in some form or format. But that's very cool. And a lot of times, do you find that you need to have someone who is like more technical to understand the product, or do you find that you don't?
I think yeah, it's two-sided. So I think the product should apply as well to product people which are not too technical, which understand the complex or I would say bloated process for the classical translation platforms and want to improve there to get more lean. But I think it's even more obvious for people which are more technical because they uh, have a better experience because they don't have these technological breaks where they move from code to the translation platform and back and forth. So I
Right.
think they are best suited to understand this, but I try to make this understandable as well for the product owner or whatever,
Right. Yeah.
whoever
Fair.
has a credit card. Huh?
Cha-ching. Please pay here.
Of course, I
um,
mean that's the product in the end.
yeah. Yeah. At the end of the day. Okay, cool. And so what would make you say no immediately to a potential co-founder?
Um, yeah, as I said, I need to communicate and align on the vision. I think these are the really important things that I have the feeling that we are maybe not only on the vision but also on the roadmap. If someone wants to like grow everything a hundredfold in the next 2 months, I would be skeptical if that aligns with my capacity and stuff like this. So it
Yeah.
should not only work with communication, but also the mode of work should somehow match. I don't know what criteria I would have for this, but I explained a little bit how I work, and I think potential co-founders could see if they match with that in some way or another way.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Cool. So right now, I think I found you on Trust MRR, right? And I don't know, I'm always interested for folks that are in early stage, like both of us, right? I use Trust MRR, and there are many like platforms that are out there. But are you right now like, hey, I am looking to pay someone to do that, like Trust MRR, or you're just like, I would rather not pay, and I would just like try to reach out to folks, hey, I need your support, etc. Because I'm always interested because a lot of times I see these platforms everywhere. I've been on lots of them, the free ones, the non-free ones, and I'm always interested in like, do these actually yield results for people, right? Do people actually click on their profiles? Are they actually having conversations around this? What's the value of some of these products versus just being like a fancy directory? No shade on Mark, but I'm just always interested to hear like from different co-founders what they're kind of willing to do to get what they need, essentially.
Yeah, right now I'm not paying for any of these platforms, and
Yeah,
I think this. Oh, it's not true. I think I paid some little amounts for some directory listings somewhere,
yeah,
not related primarily to co-founder search, but for general listing. So I'm skeptical, and on the other hand, I see some value. Even that we speak wouldn't have happened if I wouldn't have listed on
right.
Trust MRR. And
Yeah,
there were a couple of other conversations which were great and did bring me forward. So I'm not so decided, but I think for specifically for the co-founder search, I'm even more skeptical because I don't know, it's not so easy to commoditize this as a
yeah,
product because it's a very long shot game where you
right.
might or might not find someone. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I
I don't
feel
know if
like
that's conclusive.
no, yeah, I totally agree. I feel like those the platforms you can't really weed out the attributes of a person, right? You just kind of
Yeah.
know if you're going to hit it off or not just on a call, right? You're going to be like, "Hey, I feel like this is going to like even when I hop on a call for an interview, I'm like this is going to go pretty well or it's going to crash and burn and but I'm still going to post it." Here we go. So um
Yeah,
so
I totally understand. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think I don't know for co-founder search. I think I don't know if a platform is really great. This would be an argument, but I don't know if that is rather something where the personal touch is important and you would need to have someone judge something because only
Mm.
from the attributes, I mean, everyone's asking ChatGPT what the right attributes are. So, yeah, I don't know how to get the signal to noise good.
Right.
If that would happen, I think it's be
Right.
very great.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure someone out there will figure out a way to use an AI agent of some sort to say I'm the perfect co-founder essentially, and they just are able to translate all of that to your needs. I'm sure someone's already working on something like that, but yeah, I definitely can say, because I also started putting my items on Trust MRR, and I was like, wow, okay, this is like so much more visibility, even though my niche is not necessarily something that fits on X, right? Like it's not a product that I feel like mine is like in the construction technology side of things. So I don't see a lot of construction tech guys on X.
Yeah.
I see a lot of like different types of distribution channels, but that is one of the ones that I don't think is like I'm going to find even my audience or going to find my target buyer, for example. They're a bit more traditional. They don't do a lot of social media, but I will say it's created more visibility from like clicks onto even my website, or like at least more awareness of like, hey, there's products like this. And I think my product was one of the first ones under that like construction drop down on Trust MRR. I think there was maybe one other individual on there. So they didn't have a lot to choose from. So um but all that is to say is like those spaces like that create these like really cool micro niche communities that you're able to develop some of these like relationships with, because most of the people that I'm trying to have conversations with are people like you, right? Like folks that are at a much earlier stage. They don't have a series A or even a seed round. They're just like bootstrapping and trying to figure it out day by day as a solo founder seeking a co-founder, or later finds I'm actually really good at being a solo founder, and I was able to like teach myself these additional skills. Maybe it took me twice the amount of time to get my product going because I had to learn a new skill set like marketing. But the fact that you're like, well, here we go. I'm like jumping in into the deep, deep water with a lot of sharks all around me, trying to figure it out. But yeah, it's just pretty cool to like see that, especially on X and in that space. Because yeah, I think that's like the quickest way you get visibility. And I love, like, right now I don't pay for Trust MR. I'm sure you can pay for it at this point, but it for me it's free. So I'm like, I'm going to
Yeah.
use any free avenue I can possibly use to put more visibility, like Product Hunt and all these other distribution
Yeah.
channels that exist currently. So are you utilizing any of those, like Product Hunt or anything like that at this time?
We did some launches on Product Hunt and some other platforms, or my
Yeah.
brother did this like
Yeah.
over a year ago. But yeah, if you have done this, you know as well that if you're not lucky, this
Yeah.
gives you like a handful of clicks, and
Yep.
uh, which are primarily other founders, which are not
Yeah.
probably willing to pay for stuff too much.
Yeah.
So I think it's some kind of basic link building maybe, but it's not always yeah sensible to invest too much time there. I don't know. That's one of the
Yeah.
questions why I need a co-founder, because I have difficulties to decide which
Yeah.
platforms are worth it or not. But
Right.
what you said earlier, I think 100% agree. Trust MRR and others give some general visibility, which does not need to translate to your target audience.
Yeah.
But yeah, actually, I listed the other startup or side hustle I have there out of pity, because I think they started once this Olympiad where you have different listings by country, and Germany was so on the bottom. And interestingly, they did this by total revenue, and this the other thing is running since over 10 years, so the total revenue is larger, even though
Yeah.
the monthly revenue is not so great. And I was at number one for Germany when
Okay.
I
There you
when I
go.
enrolled, and I said, okay, we have to do this, because normally I don't share the stuff. I'm not this guy who shares revenue numbers everywhere, but this was
Sure.
just uh, to make Germany not look so bad on this listing.
All right. We got to get more folks from Germany on the product so that he doesn't feel alone.
I think so. I think that right now there are others as well, or more, so it's
Yeah.
not so bad anymore. But that was
Good.
the
Good.
initial starting point.
Oh, well, awesome. Well, it was very cool to learn more about your products, what you're kind of seeking in a co-founder, And yeah, I always like to say, please keep in touch too, because I think it's so important. Because who knows, we might cross paths at some tech summit or something. Or if I happen to be in Germany, I'll be like, hey, you want to go get a beer? Because I love a
You
good
should
beer.
reach out
So,
when you're in
yeah.
Frankfurt or the area.
Great.
There's some good beer around. It's true.